Strobe Studios presents Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger in The Watson Files. Coming to you from the illustrious Strobe Studios in the heart of America, this is Scott Strosahl. And now, let's join the doctor and see what story he has for us today.
Come in. You're early.
I was just trying to make up for last week, and I was anxious to hear how things ended up on the train.
I suspected as much.
So, did you find the man you were looking for?
Not so fast, Scott. We'll get to that eventually.
Alright, fine. So, when we ended last time, you had just found that homeless guy who was sneaking into the baggage car and...
No, I never said that.
Are you sure?
Nice try, but I'm not falling for that one.
Hey, it was worth a shot.
Yes, but you shot wrong. We never did find...
What was that?
All right. Can I get on with the story now?
Sure.
All right. So, after the train came screeching to a halt for some sort of mysterious mechanical issue, we decided to check in with Weathers and see how the investigation was going on his end.
I'll let you know what I can find out about the delay from the railroad.
Thanks.
You know, I wish Holmes had come to me earlier with his theory, before you got yourself stranded on a train with a killer.
Don't worry, Max. We can take care of ourselves, and besides, we're not alone.
What do you mean?
There's a U.S. Marshal on board.
Really?
Yeah. Holmes is meeting with him right now to discuss the situation.
All right, well, keep me informed.
Of course.
And tell Holmes he's in the doghouse.
So?
Max sends his regards.
He's mad that we acted without consulting him, isn't he?
Of course.
Well, he'll get over it.
Indeed. So, what did Agent Heckelborough have to say?
I gave him the description of the guy we saw, and he's going to run it by his people.
Good. So what's our plan in the meantime?
We need to question the other passengers, and seeing as how none of us are going anywhere for a while, I figured we'd make it easy on ourselves and gather all of the blokes together in the dining car.
Works for me.
I explained the situation to the conductor, and he's rounding them up as we speak.
All right. Let's go then.
Mr. Holmes, there you are.
Is everyone ready?
Someone tell us what's going on.
We simply need to ask each of you a few questions.
What for?
Does this have to do with why the train stopped?
No, this is a separate issue, and I assure you we'll be on our way again as soon as possible.
Then what's this all about?
Agent Heckelborough, would you like to take the lead here?
Sure. As Mr. Holmes here said, my name is Agent Heckelborough, U.S. Marshal. Mr. Holmes believes that one of you may be a serial killer, and he's asked me to assist with some interviews.
What?
You can't be serious. We believe that the killer may be impersonating one of his victims, so the first thing we'd like to do is check your IDs.
How about we see your ID first?
Yeah. How do we know you're really a U.S. Marshal?
No, my associate and I are not marshals, just Agent Heckelborough. We consult with the police.
Consult? You're not even cops? Why should we do what you say?
Because I said so, and this badge says I do have the authority to make that request. Now you've seen mine, let's see yours.
Fine, whatever.
Here. And you, Mr.
I don't have it. I got mugged yesterday. They took my wallet. Did you file a police report? Why? The cops aren't any help.
You can see how we might be skeptical.
It's the truth.
These two check out.
So, can we go then?
Not just yet.
Excuse me, sir, but we've got a problem.
What?
I think it'd be best if we spoke elsewhere.
Of course. Excuse me for a moment.
Sure. So, tell us more about this attack, Mr. What did you say your name was? I didn't.
If you're not going to cooperate, we could have this discussion back in town at the police station.
We could easily turn this minor delay in your trip into something much worse.
Agent Heckelborough, I think we can use your assistance. With what? They've, found a body in the baggage car.
They what?
What did he look like?
He's not your stowaway, if that's what you're thinking.
You weren't kidding. There really is a killer on board.
No, we don't know that for sure.
You're kidding, right?
It looks like he hit his head on a shelf. It could have just been an accident.
Perhaps, but I'd like to see the body before I make any judgments, if you don't mind.
I'll leave that up to the marshal here. You can look, but don't touch anything.
I can assure you that I know how to conduct myself at a crime scene.
Have you called the police? Yes, of course, first thing. But they said it would be a while before they could get someone out here. We broke down in the worst possible place, it seems. All right, well, let's have a look then, shall we?
Keep an eye on these men, will you, Watson?
I suppose someone needs to.
We'll be back shortly.
I'll be here.
So, if I may ask, what were you doing in our fair city?
Oh, it wasn't a business trip. I was just visiting my cousin.
I see. It's amazing how crime just seems to follow us around, isn't it?
Us?
Those of us in law enforcement.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
Well, like today, you're just on vacation and suddenly a murder pops up. That seems to happen everywhere I go.
It's the first time for me.
Really? Maybe it's just me then.
It's right through here. Thank you.
Well, Watson is the doctor, but I feel safe in saying there was definitely blunt force trauma.
Yes, I'd say that was the likely cause of death.
But how did the trauma happen is the question.
Well, the blood on the shelf up here certainly suggests it was the object in question.
I would not disagree.
And I hate to tell you, but I think the conductor might be right.
You believe it was an accident.
I do. Look at this crate. See how it's pulled out? And if you look closely, you can see a faint footprint.
Yes, I see.
I think our unfortunate burglar here used the crate to reach a bag on the top shelf. Train jostled and he fell, hitting his head.
It does appear the case, doesn't it? Mr. McLean.
Yes?
Agent Heckelborough believes he solved the case.
It was just a simple accident, thankfully.
But if it's all right, I'd like to have Dr. Watson take a look. Since he's a doctor.
Of course, I can send Jimmy to fetch him.
Thank you. Oh, and the passengers are free to return to their compartments.
I'll pass along the message.
Thank you.
Are you sure it's okay to let the other men go?
Yes, Watson, none of them struck me as the killing type.
And the conductor here tells me you've determined that it was just an accident.
It was Agent Heckelborough, actually, who deduced it.
Really?
Well, it's pretty obvious once you consider all the evidence.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, but I have to disagree, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
Oh, you're not afraid.
Watson, you recall our trip to New York to see Michael's play.
How could I forget?
And what you got into some trouble for.
Yes? Why?
I assume you could be in similar trouble tonight?
Perhaps.
Then prepare yourself.
I see.
What's he talking about? I'm lost as well.
You're wrong about considering the evidence, Agent Heckelborough. You see, simply observing the facts is not enough. You must also consider what they mean in the big picture.
Well, of course,
Let's start with the crate. It was pulled out from under the lower shelf, yes, but why?
Well, so the thief could...
Reached the top shelf, yes, I know. But why wouldn't he simply stand on the bottom shelf or just raid the bags lower down?
Maybe he thought the bag at the top was more valuable.
Maybe, but then it would be easier to stand on the lower shelf. It's sturdy enough, but these rough-surfaced metal shelves are difficult to leave footprints upon.
But why would he want to?
Next, let's move to the head wound. Doctor, would you care to give us an assessment of his wound?
Certainly, let me take a look here. Well, he was clearly struck by something. I suppose it could have been the shelf, but it's hard to say without a proper autopsy.
And where is the wound?
Well, the back of the head, but...
Explain to me how someone reaching for the top shelf falls and hits the back of his head.
That does seem odd. So, what are you saying, that this was staged?
Yes.
But you said none of the passengers was a killer.
I didn't exactly say that. There is one other piece of evidence that I find quite curious.
What's that?
The victim's jeans there. Notice the pattern on his back pocket?
I don't see anything.
Look closely and you may notice the faint outline of a star.
I don't understand.
The same pattern one might have if they often kept a wallet in their back pocket with a star-shaped badge on it. One like a U.S. Marshal might have.
Are you saying that this man was a marshal also?
I would omit the also.
Wait, you think I did this?
Well, it's pretty obvious once you consider the evidence.
Holmes, weren't we looking for an impersonator?
We were indeed.
Look, you've got this all wrong.
I would venture that you were the man we saw sneak on board and disguise as a homeless stowaway. The marshal here caught you hiding out and you killed him, then made it look like an accident. I'd further wager that if we searched the car, we'd find your disguise hidden in one of these bags. Then you took his identity, thinking it might be useful to you at your destination.
Look, I don't know where you...
Unfortunately for you, Watson and I happened to board the train tonight as well. Weathers will be along shortly to collect you. Until then, Watson! Good work.
I was prepared this time, thanks to your heads up earlier.
Sorry for the mess, Mr. McLean.
No, it's quite all right.
Ah, that'll be Weathers. We'd best go give him the news.
And what about Agent, whatever he was?
I don't think he'll be going anywhere.
Wow, Doctor, that was quite the deduction Holmes made.
Yes, as usual, it all seemed fairly obvious in retrospect, but at the time I believed the accident explanation quite easily.
Yes, well, sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees.
Actually, I think Holmes is the one seeing the trees while which way does that go?
I don't know. It just sounded profound, so I went with it.
He probably sees the forest and the trees.
Well, whatever he sees, it's impressive.
Oh, on that we can agree.
So, what story are you planning to tell us about next week?
Next week, I'm planning on telling you a whale of a tale.
Well, that sounds interesting. I can't wait. Tonight's Watson Files adventure was written by Scott Strosahl. Spencer Holmes and Dr. Watson were played by Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger. Additional voices were provided by Steve Rimpici. Until next week, this is Scott Strosahl saying good night from Stroby Studios. All right, everybody say something into their microphones to make sure this is working.
Good day, sir.
Watson.
Okay.
Everyone's
Watson
legible.
Watson is loud. I'm going to turn him down. He's always loud.
Watson is always
Watson is always projecting his voice.
Watson speaks forward. We decided to check in with Weathers and see how the investigation was going out on his end.
Was going out?
Yes, I said out. I added out. Do you have a problem?
Yes, it's wrong.
Fine.
I might as well just say make up a name.
I'm going with Heckelborough.
Heckelborough?
Heckelborough.
Okay, you're going to use it several times. So
I don't care.
Just go with that.
Yeah, Agent Heckelborough.
Someone tell us what's going on. Don't like my voice?
It was beautiful.
I don't know what it was.
It just caught me off guard.
You're going to have to recall it in a second.
I know. Someone
No. The problem is I can't remember the guy's name, and I'm gonna have to say it in a second.
Okay.
Heckelborough.
I thought you didn't like my voice.
No. I loved your voice. I was worried.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Heckelborough.
Familiar?
Yes, but I have to disagree, I'm afraid.
Oh, you're not afraid.
I really thought that was your line.
Maybe it should be.
It seemed right.
I like it. It's now in there. It's going to be a part of it.
You're wrong about considering the evidence, Ancient
Heckelborough.
God bless it.
I'm glad you came up with a confusing name for him. That
me
makes it
too.
much more entertaining. Dr. Watson were played by Michael Helgens and Greg Kilberger.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Music was provided by John Williams.